I'm Christy Weber. This is an exciting day.
Yeah.
I first want to really thank everybody for taking an interest in our Door County icons. It's important that everybody in the county take part in saving all of our most unique places, because if we tear them down, there's no reason for anybody to come and visit us. And we all rely on tourist incomes in one way or another throughout the county. One city does, another city suffers, so we have to be involved countywide. Secondly, I want to acknowledge our Sturgeon Bay Historical Society members, and if you could put your hands up so that we can all thank them for all their hard work. And especially to our donors, that some are anonymous and others are like Bill Parsons, who's always there, and Betty at every turn to help out in the community. The studies aren't cheap. We're in debt now, so if anybody wants to help. Not too bad though, and it's gonna pay off big time. So I guess that's it. We can open the floor for Dan, Dr. Dan Tingley.
Well, thanks for coming tonight. I like to be at these presentations. I was just telling a little personal story before, because I've been in these situations many times. I can remember a time in a place called Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. I had been asked to come in and teach a course and then inspect a 3-span bridge. It was 100 feet a span. It was built in 1892. And they had wanted to save the bridge. And so I was asked to come in and present to the public after I'd completed my findings. I knew I was in trouble when they picked me up in a police car to come into this session. And it was really a hotly contested issue. 4 councillors for it, 4 councillors against it, and the mayor sat on the dividing line. And my job was to present to 500 people who had a vested interest in seeing it go and stay, if you know what I mean. And so it was a really kind of rocky time. I was expecting rotten tomatoes at any time. And, you know, out of that time, it hardened my resolve. Those times give us character. That's the simple of it. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. When you lose track of your past, you lose track of your future. And that's the story for us. And just because things get old and gray doesn't mean they're no good, or I'd be done. And so at the end of the day, you know, that's what drives me. And so I've got a little presentation to make today to you all about this fabulous tower. I had a chance to go out today. They picked me up at the airport and I went out. My technicians had been there before. And you know, it's just the spring is blossoming and beautiful out there. Man, it was beautiful. I wanted to tear the plywood down on that and go to the top so bad. You know, I didn't do it, but anyway. So off we go. This beautiful tower and the plywood. There's 2 factors about this. There's this beautiful plywood tower, and then there's this plywood. And so our job, my job, is to inspect it, find the bad actors, and understand how we take the plywood down. That's as simple as that right there. And so, as I said earlier, when the reporters were asking me, you know, how much of this tower is still good? 80 to 90%. If any of you had a car that had 80 to 90% good, a house that had 80, 90% good, if you had anything in your house was 89, would you throw it out?
No.
No. So why is it? Well, with structural things, it kind of makes a big difference because we have kind of a weakest link theory. If we're going to hang from the steel bridge that you guys managed to save out here, and someone brought up a chain to you, and they had this big chain, and they said, we'd like you to hang from the bottom of that bridge. And you say, well, do you know how strong is that chain? You said, well, the average strength is 21,000 PSI, the average. Would you be interested in the average or the weakest? No, you'd want to know the weakest link, wouldn't you? Because if one was good for 50 pounds, most of us wouldn't make it if we were hanging from it. And so that's what it's like with a tower. We look for the weakest link, don't we? Because if we can get the weakest link and find them, we can fix them, and then we save it. And that's what it's about. So that's what this talk is about. And so we were commissioned by the association, the foundation, to come in and take a look at this tower and use advanced technologies to understand it. And then our second phase was to develop a design solution to restore it. And then with that, a level C estimate, which is plus or minus 15%. And I'm going to save that punchline for the end. And so who am I? I work for Wood Research and Development. I'm their senior structural engineer, timber structures engineer, and wood technologist. I have my master's in structural, and then I have my PhD in wood technology and structural out of Oregon State. If you've been to Oregon, you know it's the land of the tall trees. Things are based on wood out there. And so that's where I went. This Wood Research and Development, who are we? We're a code-certified test agency. That's International Accreditation Services, certified as a third party and as a test lab. So people will come to us and they use us as a coat hanger. What's that mean? Structural engineering firms around the world seek us out when they've got an old building that they have to repurpose. And they have to understand what the old timbers in that building are capable of doing. And we come in and test them and tell them what design values to use for those timbers. We are a coat hanger. That's what they call us. So then they can put the liability on us. And we pay a lot for our errors and omissions. Just a little bit of bragging, not to brag anymore, but I'll do it just one time because it's an expression of bonification. Our group was nominated for the Civil Engineering Research Foundation for our work in high-strength fiber and wood back in '96. This is for the G21. We reached 100 finalists, and then we won that award. And then the next year we were nominated for the NOVA Award, which is all construction materials. We won that one. It's the only group to ever have won both of them, back to back. And guess what? It was with wood. No, I didn't say steel or concrete. I said wood. And so that's another great thing. So that's the last of it. I have a few patents in this area. Most of them are off now, 42 to be exact, in many different countries. So some of my best patents happened by accident. You just dropped a block of wood on the floor, the butter side went down, picked up fibers in it, thus come fibers in a glue line. And if you're out buying glue today, anywhere at Home Depot or the rest of it, you're going to buy glues that were based on my patent. And it happened by accident. I had nothing to do with it. Just dropped it. And recognized 6 months later it had 50% more shear. And I'm willing to admit it. So anyway, this has developed a passion in me for engineering over the years and saving stuff, and been around the world doing it in different places, helping people save their timber. And the Discovery Channel came in and have asked me to do how stuff works with wood. And we filmed that at our lab. If you've ever watched that series, How Stuff Works, the wood end of it is ours. So we do quite a bit of this work, and we teach. We teach courses, 16 in total, level 1, 2, and 3 in timber and design, inspection, maintenance, and restoration. One of the few groups that teach these courses. And we teach them all over the world, as you can see here. So I'm no stranger to being in front of a group like this and teaching courses such as timber design. And we test things in these courses and we break them, and the students have to fix them with high-strength fiber and restore them to 150% of capacity. So when I can teach a student how to take a broken beam and restore it to 150% of its original break capacity, I welcome the challenge of a bad actor in a tower in Wisconsin. If I'm out at the tower and I'm going to restore that tower with advanced techniques, I don't want to cut a tree down anywhere around it. If I'm out there at that tower and my plan is to take it down, I got to find somebody really brave to cut each leg and then watch it fall. And I'm going to break trees down, and how am I going to get it out? And if I'm not going to do that and I'm going to disassemble it orderly, guess what happens to the cost? High. And so smaller worksite footprints are pretty important. Less immediate impact on vegetation. Don't break all the trees down and leave a bald spot. Simpler site management, easier to look after. No erosion from works, no beaching. When it rains, you don't have them brushed up the mineral soil, so it all washes out. So these are the reasons that we see it in bridges. You see this issue all the time. No cement dust and silica. Silica is the number 6 toxic chemical now in the world. It just moved up to silica. If you cut concrete with a saw, you have to have a urine test once a week now. It's number 6, silica fouling. In many countries, you can't build a concrete bridge over a reservoir finger. So if you have a reservoir for drinking water, you can't build a concrete bridge over that reservoir. So there's lots of impacts to these types of things that are meaning timber is coming back. Longevity. We say timber doesn't last. That's the mantra. Timber doesn't last. But I tell my students, I say, wait now, we've said timber doesn't last, but the average age of a bridge in America is 82 years. What's the average age of a concrete bridge? 42. So timber doesn't last. We say timber doesn't last, but timber is the biggest sequestered carbon block in the world today in our homes in North America. Is the biggest sequestered carbon block in the world is our homes, because they're all stick built. So you see, really, it's about not knowing, isn't it? When you don't know, you don't know. And that's the simple of that. So we have this diffuser opportunity to extend life. We have monitor control checkpoints to check them regularly at the ground where what we call hot zones, and that allows us to extend life. Heritage considerations. We used to be in the old days, we could take that bridge out. Can't do it anymore. So now what they do is they put a fence across each end and build a new one upstream where they buy new reserve and watch it fall into the river. And that's being stopped now because governments have realized that that's what managers do. And so now they're being forced to deal with these heritage structures around the world. And this is the big one for me. 22 times less energy to build a timber structure than a steel structure. 22 times less energy. 16 times less than our reinforced concrete. And timber is so great because what? The trees are renewable and they pull CO2 out of the air. It's our roots, see? Timber's in our roots. Simple. So that's the way we roll. A fifth the cost typically to retrofit. A fifth the cost. I'm not telling you what this costs yet. It's going to be the end. You got to stay. You'll be really sick of me by the end of it. You see here. So we got a summary. Cost savings at construction. Carbon, environmentally friendly. Ease of construction to fix it. Reduce cost of maintenance downstream. These are the reasons today that we're seeing buildings and bridges be restored and built with timber. The average moisture content in a bridge or an outdoor structure in this country is 13 to 14% or 16%. Wood does not decay until it hits 22%. Why is decay 82% of all timber structure degradation? It's the connectors. It's where it's connected. And one of the great things about the tower is all of the guy wires that are there are fastened to the piles with hoops that go around the column. When I looked at that in the picture, I said right away, gee, what a blessing that is. Because oftentimes they go straight through the column and the water goes in that and gets in the middle. And these have hoops. Another reason the tower is still in great condition today. You see, there's a reason for everything. And if you understand those reasons, you'll be better at your job. And so this species that we have here in the columns is called Western red cedar. It's 0.33. It's 1/3 the density of water. It's very low density. Not as known for its strength. What's it known for? Longevity. They could have had white pine from local, but they chose Western red cedar. Why? Because white pine hasn't got near the longevity that Western red cedar has. So why, if the builders and designers of that tower who knew enough to choose the right species, why would we go in and disregard their great design strategies and cut the sucker down? Are they going to be hating me or what? I'm telling you, that's the way it goes in the world. Just knowing is important. Softwood and hardwood, you can see the permeability, and Western red cedar has great durability characteristics. Strength is affected by knots, splits, checks, and one of the great things about round logs, and this is round, those columns are round. If they were square, are you with me on this one? You ready for it? If they were square, they'd be less strength. Because I keep them round, it keeps the grain right, and there's no slope of grain, and they're stronger. Another benefit to the tower. Weird, isn't it? But weird, but true. So you see, it was affected by knot, splits, and checks. Up there in that tower, one of the things that I heard was those checks were shear cracks. And there are no such thing as shear crack in a column. Those are checks. It's UV weathering. It's just getting old like I am. And it just needs a little help from here and there. And when you give it, it goes and goes the distance. Is that a shear crack? No, it is not. That's just shrinkage, because there's a boxed in heart in there. There's a pith in the middle. It's close in here, and tangential shrinkage is more than radial, and it responds at a ray line, and that's nature's fault line, and it pulls apart there with cumulative shrinkage. That is a non-structural defect. They're in the column. They're not structural defects. And you can see here, bangle, look at it. This is a picture from the tower. Non-structural defects. Look. Look. You see this one? Non-structural defect. And here we are in America with what we call our hydroclines. This shows you, I come from right here, Jacksonville. 100 days out of every year wood decays in Jacksonville because the temperature's right. Up in here, a little different, right? This is what's called a decay hazard map in the United States. You can see where we're at. Another reason why this tower should be going the distance. It's dew point decay that drives this tower. Now here goes this. We got great ideas, right? Because look what we're doing.
That's us.
Worth fixing. This is hazard class selection guide for different woods. Get the best wood for the worst conditions. And what did they do? Chose cedar. They didn't just get those columns for free. They chose them. They got $500 to do it, and they chose the best. Why would we go take them out now? This tower, what would I do with this tower? I hear saying, geez, if he hadn't got here, I was quitting. He said, so here comes this tower. Look, 1929, 1931, built, $500. Can you imagine building that tower for $500 today? Money was hard to come by in those days, and the tower represented a great way forward for the people in a community as it provided a way to look out over the beauty of the land beyond all obstacles. If you were going through the Great Depression, to be able to get up a tower and look at distance would have been a great blessing. Because your problems would have been crowding you pretty bad, wouldn't they? And so to be free to see and to dream, much the same way as the people of the day gain strength. The engineers don't like to read this stuff. I know they don't, but I like to put it in there. I'm a sucker for timber. So people gain strength to face the day, face the future, seeing how things would go beyond the days of the Great Depression. The community in the United States persevered through world wars, economic booms, busts, through all the country grew. During all this time, the tower also persevered. Through that whole time, the tower persevered. No maintenance, poor maintenance, you name it, it persevered. It stood the test of time. When the steel and concrete towers they were talking about replacing it with, they were talking about lasting longer, were falling down and being taken down. This timber tower was going the distance. Do the math, go do the facts like I have, and find out just what I'm saying is absolute truth. The absolute truth. It stood the test of time. When the experts said that timber towers don't last, only steel and concrete ones do, the timber Potawatomi tower stood and still stands today. That's the simple facts of it. So I went in and condition state rated it according to this table. I said if it's 1, it's good, it'll go 80 years. All the way down to 5, it's a 1%, less than 2 years that it would go. It would be unsafe. This is a rating table. You can get this again from me if you want to, after just see me. That's how it's rated, the standard rating table from around the world today for outdoor structures. The 5 main this is the results in a synopsis paragraph. One simple paragraph. 5 main tower columns were tested, and 2 of the corner columns were found to be in poor condition, with the bottom 4 feet of the columns in heavily degraded state, causing an overall condition state rating of 4. The center column is in good condition with a condition state rating of 2. The 2 other corner columns have a CSR of 3. The CSR of 4 for the 2 corner columns southeast and southwest is predominantly governed by isolated areas in the columns that can easily be restored in situ. These 2 columns and the short length of the heavily decayed wood on the bottom of both columns is the primary reason that structure is rated for 4. It's a 3-tiered structure standing approximately 75 feet. The tower is closed to public right now, as I found out today. The structure is comprised of 4 wood columns that were not randomly picked. They were not sawn. They were round. They were cedar. They knew what they were doing. It was chosen for a reason. They had collars that went around them, not through them. They knew or did it for a reason. They chose white oak treads for a reason. The tower just didn't happen by accident. It was there for a reason. That's why it's here today. And underneath each of the column corners, there's shims to make it point inward. The one in the center is lifted up to let it breathe. The stairs wrap around the central wood column to provide access to 3 observation levels, the first at 25, then 50, and the 75. The top observation level is open with handrails and used as a viewing platform. The tower is located in the top of Government Bluff limestone quarry. It provides excellent views of the state park in the state of Wisconsin. So we look at it here, you'll see photographs of stairs and handrails in here. You can see them by looking through here. Some of them painted. The outside corners on the stair rail kind of settling. You can see some of these guys getting decay. You can see the verticals in here. These sorts of fix-ups in any tower are called minor maintenance. Called minor maintenance. As you can see in here, here's the collars instead of going through them with the guy wires. You can see that painted it, wouldn't have done it. When I had my way, I'd walnut shell blast it or acrylic bead blast it and then stain it with a stain less than 28% solids, Cetol 1 and then Cetol 2-3, and that wood would brighten up and you guys would have to put sunglasses on when you're around it. It would be beautiful. As you can see here, you look at that and you say, that guy's had it. There's some UV weathering there. It's kind of lost some section around the knots. It's got some shrinkage cracks around it. It kind of looks old. And the first thing you think of is toast. When we do the internal non-destructive testing, it isn't toast. And so you can see there are places that are toast. And you can see those. My little girl could pick that one out. I don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that one. And so you can see here these places. But these decks and rails and systems, it can be easily restored. It's not a big bill. And we can take that plywood down. And you can see here the big 4 columns going. Look at that, guys. Now you know why I went through the first of it, didn't you? But you're thinking, this guy sucks. He put me through all these damn slides. What's he up to? I want to go home and feed the cat. You're like, come on, what's wrong here? Jeez, you know? Look, this is it. Now you know. When you looked at the previous ones, all the reds and yellows, there's no reds and yellows. That's what I'm saying. But look at that. I mean, these, and come on, man. Yeah, there's a bad guy right here, but he's isolated. You know, you can get him. Look, there's some at the corner. Look here, but very few yellows. Yeah, you can fix. Look, they put tar on it. I don't know if some of you guys are responsible for that. I'd never done it, and I'd get it out. Let the wood breathe. Don't coat it. Don't tar it. Let it breathe. So I say to my wife all the time about me, when I'm on one Saturday, I want to work out in the shop. I say, let me breathe. She'll come out and she'll, I got this big list for you, you know. I haven't seen you for a week. I want to do this, this, and that. I said, honey, come on, I got to be able to breathe here for a minute. That's what this wood does. It needs to be able to breathe. Look, a few reds. These guys here, you're looking at them and seeing this and you're knowing why it's got, look. Northeast tower. You know, that's it. Look at that one. The center tower leg has no decay in it. The one they singled out.
Cut it out.
None. There's no decay in it. Why is it shut down? It's got a few weak links, right? It's that analogy I told you, right? You're hanging from the steel bridge. Don't take the average, you got to take the least. But go fix that steel link and then hang from it. See here? That's what it's done when you put it graphically and we drew it out. You can see right off where the bad ones are, right? Go fix them. So analysis of cores revealed specific gravity. That's the ratio of density of wood to density of water it was Western red cedar, highly durable, as you can see here. There, these southeast columns, they got some voids in there, which we found. And as you can see, this tower can go the distance to be able to be restored. This is the cores the guys took from it. So we know what we're doing. We identified them under microscope and followed the proper keys to identify the species and its grade, and put together an in-kind repair strategy like this for the element. This is an advanced fiber. We gave a couple of options. And here is the design. Hot off the press today. I was over there working at the B&B, putting this into the PowerPoint an hour before tonight. So nothing like just-in-time strategy. You can see this is the specifications page. This is the replacement requirements page here. You can see this is the drawing showing the posting detail here. We'll take care of this guy here with a typical posting detail where the reds are. How do we do that? We support the tower with guy wires. We then turn around and cut it, put in another one. There's a specific design characteristic. You see that space in there underneath it? And we'll post that piece. You can see samples here. And this shows you how it's done. We hold that column up. Then we take a section out, put another section of Western red cedar in with a specific design detail here, and put it in action. Now, if you've never had any training in timber design, you probably won't know what to do here. But I've got the odd one done. 1,350 to be exact. So you can see here, this is the cost. You're seeing it for the first time. Not even your buddy Sean has seen this. I can't see it. You can't see it. That's what my wife says all the time. Okay, look. 249,000. You see here.
Yeah.
And this is what? Here, walnut shell blasting. If you want it structurally sound to be able to walk up that stairs, then you're talking 170. If you want to fix the columns to keep it from coming down, it's less than 100,000. Eagle was 750. When you know where the bad actors are, you can fix them at much lower cost. Understanding the situation is part of curing the situation.
So no fibers, none of that?
I just chose one that I thought was holistic for you.
Okay.
I didn't put fibers on it. I figured on using kind for kind, sectioning and diffusing, natural. If you want to see fibers, they'll be a little cheaper. But I figure when you got it this low, you might as well have it the way, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see this is one, same height. So I thought I'd show you one that I inspected, designed, went and fixed. It's the same height. Does that sound good to you? Four-legged stool, still the same. Taking pieces out of it. Let's look at it here. Finding the reds. Look. What did they do with their guy wire or their bracing? Went through it, and it ruined it. You guys have collars around it. And so you can see that guy's bad. Well, we're going to take that guy out. And you can see we put guy wires to hold it for safety. You can see here to keep the tower from coming down. And they had engineers come in and say, let's put concrete around the bottom of it to restore it. And they floated concrete around the bottom. It ruins its kiss of death. They go away 66% faster. So we had to jackhammer the concrete out. And then get at the stirrups from the old base. And there's the old one in here with the old stirrups. We connected the new stirrups to the old one, cut out the old one. You can see it here now connected and the concrete cut away from it. You can see these guys. Here's the new pile segment that was changed out for the bottom, put in place here. You can see it here. The concrete floated around, and the engineer of record for the council came around. He said, "Dan," he said, "too bad." He said, "Your pile was too short. I always tell you to measure twice and cut once." And I'm saying, "What? Measure twice and cut once? What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, look, you got an inch too short." I'm the inch too short? I said, "I planned it that way because I want the air underneath it so that the moisture doesn't come from the concrete and ruin it again." Like your what? Center column in your tower. And so here it is here. You can see it fixed up. This is an internal shear pin. It's inside, so you can't see it. This is the outside. That's a rotation spline glued into it. You can see there. And basically, we put that back in service. Do you remember what it looked like? Hold on. Whoop, right there. This is it. Okay, come.
So we still have the bolts going in there?
Yeah, those nasty bolts. I know.
They're still there, huh?
Yeah. And not rusted either. But anyway, you got that piece back. And there it is. That guy goes away. Look how bad he is. I mean, most engineers look at this and condemn the whole tower. Because they don't want to face it. They don't know how to face it. They just want to get rid of the tower. Hey, what? Wood doesn't last, right? Isn't that what you've heard? Doesn't last. So it's easy to tell a client wood doesn't last when you're showing them that. Because he just believes you right away. It's a lot harder to fix it like that. Yeah, or dry rot, exactly. And you can see what he did here. This is the next one. I already told them that the other two columns that are buried in concrete are going to be up next. Because they've been ruined, you know. So we put diffusers in to try and extend them, but down in here, it's not going to work. And so you see here, we don't have the guy wires going through. They're horizontal lagged in and sealed, and this is a hook here to carry the new guy wire, cross brace rather. New timbers inserted into it. And these guys here, you see them all over. They put Meltoid on the top. Get rid of those guys and don't paint it. Get rid of the paint. So we got rid of those. Let it put copper naphthenate, 2% reactive agent, heavy saturation 3 times, then anchor seal, which is paraffin wax and water, and get rid of that metal. Because every day at temperature change, that metal sweats. And fix these guys where they're at in situ and put this thing back in service. The maintenance items listed above can be completed at significant cost savings. That's what I talk about here with the tower now, back to your tower. In addition to the cost savings, using advanced timber restoration techniques, repair of the structure has been followed to give benefit. Reduce site disturbance, reduce potential for erosion, preserves the landmark for the community, extends the life of existing assets, and utilizes these assets more effectively. Finally, it's highly recommended that all structural elements be diffused, extend the life, diffuse them. Exposed bright wood should be treated with copper naphthenate, seal it, end grain, and anchor seal. In summary, geez, you're saying it's good he's done. In summary, Potawatomi Tower has stood the test of time for nearly 90 years. It is weathered and contains conventional UV section loss as well as non-structural cracks and splits in some of the elements. The tower has 2 columns with advanced decay and cavities in the bottom 4 feet. However, well over 90% of the critical structural elements are capable of continuing on in service to the community and with the help of remedial treatments that can be implemented as the tower stands. It has served the community for decades and deserves the opportunity to continue to do so. The cost of remedial work is a fraction of the cost of replacement. The cost of tearing it down and disposing of the tower will be the same magnitude as repairing the worst of the heavily degraded zones. The best option working forward is to restore the tower and extend its life utilizing advanced strategies. Clearly, advanced non-destructive testing and assay sampling testing by an IAS-certified test laboratory has shown that the vast majority of the primary structural elements are in a condition suitable for continued service. Proper maintenance will extend the life. The implementation of proper repairs will bring the structure back to proper occupancy capacity. With these actions, the Potawatomi Tower can go on to serve the community for another 90 years. There I am. Thank you. Rewind.